Welcome everyone to this Friday's T.I.Y. Tech It Yourself RVATECH webinar. Today's the Friday keynote, so we are excited to have Randy Hand from Amazon Web Services. Randy's a senior manager in specialized solution architecture, and he's going to talk to us today about contact center modernization. So we're excited to have him on board. Randy's out of Atlanta and should provide some unique perspective that hopefully most of us haven't heard before. Before we get started, I want to go over a few housekeeping things. If you have Q&A or questions, there's a Q&A box and there's a chat box. Feel free to use either of those. Randy's going to talk for about the first half, kind of go over some of his content, and then we'll switch to Q&A. And during this time, I'm also going to bring everybody in, so everyone should be able to see everyone else. And when we get to that Q&A section, I'd love to have you turn your video on and your mic and go ahead and engage live with us if you're comfortable with that. So without further ado, I want to introduce Randy. Over the course of his career, Randy's leveraged a technical background to understand, architect, and sell complex systems around the globe. He successfully designed and sold solutions into 30+ countries, including all 7 continents. Randy's driven net new and organic growth across domestic and international markets, and his clients have included DirecTV, Microsoft, NBC, AT&T, Bloomberg, as well as international clients such as BBC, Siemens, Arqiva, Telenet, KPN, France Telecom, South Africa Telecom, and Bell Canada. So Randy has quite a bit of experience to share with us, and with that, I will pass it over to Randy. So thank you, Randy.
Yeah, thank you, Nick, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to RVATECH. I'm right down the road, as you mentioned, in Atlanta, so great to have everyone with us today. We're going to be talking today about Amazon Connect, which is one of the services within AWS, Amazon Web Services. We'll talk about what it is and why people use it. But I want to kind of start off maybe just providing a little bit of background, because I still every now and then run into someone who says, Amazon, aren't you guys that sell books online? And I don't get that a lot anymore, but I do often talk to people, and their initial reaction is, oh, I had no idea you were in the contact center business. How did that happen? So let me give you a little bit of background to sort of set the context for how we got to where we were. Most people have at some point interacted with Amazon, and if you have, you may know that one of our core tenets is we strive to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. And we knew in order to achieve that meant we had to provide great customer experience. And by an extension of that, to provide great customer experience, we have to provide our agents with great tools. And so if you look at the operation of Amazon.com today, we have anywhere from 70,000, and that goes much higher on days like Prime Day or Cyber Monday, Black Friday, all across the globe in many, many different languages, serving millions and millions of customers. And we knew that we needed to have a solution and a technology that would allow us to scale and to serve our customers in the way that we wanted to, and in the way that they deserve to be. And so, like many customers, we kind of took the traditional approach, and we wrote an RFP, and we went out to the market, looked at everything that was out there. But what we found was a little disappointing. And this was about 13 years ago. What we found were the tools just were not very open. They were cumbersome. They required a lot of very specific and esoteric skill sets in order to deploy these solutions. They were still heavily on-premise and required us to manage a bunch of infrastructure, which we didn't really want to do. And then we had very high requirements, knowing the growth trajectory that we were on, for scalability and reliability. and of course security, which is always our primary focus, job number one at Amazon. And then finally, the pricing was very complex, per seat, per concurrent user, per minute, per hour, per contact center. It was very hard to get a handle on what our total cost was going to be. And so we looked at these things in aggregate, and we made a decision. And that decision, as we do with a number of things at Amazon, we decided to build it. And that's actually how the technology was born. And so what happened was, we would do a lot of meetings with customers, and they would share their problems, and then they would turn and say, well, hey, Amazon, you guys have a large customer service group, and you're known for providing good service. What do you use? And our answer was always, well, just this
You
thing
hear
that
my
we
phone
built,
talking to me?
this homegrown solution.
I'm in
But
my.
eventually we heard that enough to where we thought, you know what, maybe we can serve our customers by bringing this to market. And so about 3 years ago, we took that core technology and we brought it to market as Amazon Connect. So that's actually how we got to be in this space and in this market. And so it wasn't just a decision we made lightly or thought it would be fun to necessarily explore this particular technology, but we felt like after 10 years of building and scaling and hardening the system, that we had developed a core competency around operating cloud-based contact centers. We felt like that was what our customers needed, and so we wanted to make that available to them. And so that's what we brought to market, and we focused on some key areas to uh, bring that to market, and those were skill-based routing. So this is quite simply just, I have a caller that needs something. What can I do to know everything that I can about that user in order to connect them to the right agent that can serve them with the best experience? Um, Call recording was something that in the past was very cumbersome, very expensive. This is something that's just natively built into the product. You click a box, you record all of your recordings, you store it in S3. It's really, really inexpensive to do it, and just something that is now ubiquitous with Amazon Connect. Um, Contact centers are one of the most measured types of jobs. And in order to do that, you need to know what's going on both real time and historically within the contact center. And so we knew that we had to provide a robust set of metrics that people could use to run their business. And then finally, none of that matters if the voice quality stinks. And so we put a lot of focus on how can we deliver this, the media, the audio specifically, to our customers and have it clear. And that has real cost implications to a contact center. If customers have to repeat themselves, if it creates a bad experience, and we wanted to avoid that. So we actually went down a path that today allows us to deliver this voice over the internet using technology called WebRTC, to deliver it to a cell phone that's in a browser. And we use a codec called Opus, which was designed to be highly resilient in environments where there's latency, jitter, all of the things you might expect in the internet world, but still provide a great voice experience. And so that's what we landed on. And we hear from our customers all the time that when they move from their existing systems onto Amazon Connect, that the voice quality is spectacular. And so that's was a key cornerstone of what we looked at in bringing it to market. If we think about, how are we really different today than the other things that are out there, we think about that across 4 dimensions. Our customers are able to configure this on their own, so we've made it very simple. In fact, before I end this talk, you could have logged on to your Amazon Web Services console, uh, found Amazon Connect, spun up a call center, claimed a number, and be calling and receiving calls on that. It's that simple. We wanted to make it easy so that customers could consume this on their own, but we also wanted to make it uh, a flexible system that would allow for a personal, natural, and dynamic experiences, because at the end of the day, you know, every customer wants to feel valued by their company, and one of the ways that we can do that is to make sure that we're providing it with an experience that is tailored toward them. And we have a lot of tools that we have incorporated into the contact center world that make that very easy to do. And we'll take a quick look at a couple of those in just a minute. Open, we did not want to be locked into any particular technology or any particular vendor stack, and nor do our customers. And so everything that we do is very open, very API driven. We have an extremely robust set of technology partners that our customers can leverage to get the functionality that they want. And if customers have particular technologies and vendors that they love and want to continue to work with, that is fantastic, and we fully support their ability to do that. And then finally, we have an innovation engine at AWS that is continually producing value for our customers. And our customers drive almost all of the roadmap in AWS. And if you look at the breadth of services that we have, and the advanced services that we have around AI and machine learning, all of these things that were very hard to consume as just a typical customer in the past are now being democratized. And all of those services within AWS are available for our customers to now consume as part of that contact center experience in a way that is just natively connected. So it's no longer a huge ordeal that is a complex integration product, project in order to now consume some of these advanced type of services. Um, just to give a quick example, kind of something near and dear probably to the area there, one of our customers is Capital One. So they've migrated their call centers onto Amazon Connect. And I think the quote you see on this page is a good representation of why people often look at Amazon Connect. You know, they understand that with cloud, they can move faster. They can focus on innovation that really matters to their business versus keeping the lights on, so to speak. And I love a conversation that I had with another one of our large customers, which is Intuit. And what they said, and this is particularly relevant about this time of year, is that they used to spend all year getting ready for tax day. And April 15th would hit, and everyone crosses their fingers, crosses their toes, and hopes everything stands up. And they get through that tax day, and they immediately start the cycle of, okay, now we need to upgrade and replace equipment, and take out end of life equipment, and get everything ready and set so that we're ready and can be able to handle tax day the next year. And what they told us is that after moving to Amazon Connect and having all of that removed from their responsibilities, so the things that we would call undifferentiated heavy lifting at AWS, that they were actually able to run more than 100 experiments on the customer experience in that 12-month cycle in the first year they were on Amazon Connect. And if you sort of step back and think about that, that's really something that adds a lot more value to their business versus making sure their contact center technology is up and running. And so that's you know where we think customers are deriving a lot of value from what we've brought to market. So let me give you a quick example. I'm going to just play a call flow here.
Hi, Nikki Wolf. I apologize that your flight was canceled. I can rebook you for the next available flight, departing at 10 p.m. Would you like to book that now?
No, I'd rather rebook for the same time tomorrow. Is that possible?
Yes, that flight is available departing at 9 a.m. out of San Francisco, arriving in Seattle at 11:45 a.m. I can book you in seat 12C. It's an aisle. Would you like me to do that?
Yes,
All right, so
thank
simple
you.
example, but there's some really powerful um, technology at work here. So what I'll point out first is that this is very personal, right? When this caller calls in, we know who they are. We probably know a lot about them. We know a lot about their history. Why not take advantage of that? So you see in this case, we would look in our CRM, maybe in this specific example, our booking database. And based on that information, we have a pretty good idea why this customer is calling. So why not use that to create a frictionless experience for them to get what they need? And then you'll notice that this is not a press one, press two, go 7 layers deep in a menu. You forget where you were, you get frustrated, you start pressing 0 to talk to an operator because it's such a terrible experience. The caller is able to interact with our natural language understanding technology called Amazon Lex. Think about that as the commercial version of your Alexa device that you may have at home. But she's able to speak to it as a human being, right? And interact with it in a very natural way. And that's something that is important if you want to try to uh, deliver self-service and get customers where they want. They want to interact with with your company in that way. So let's take a look at what happens though in some cases. You may want to connect them to an agent, and let's take a quick look at what that could look like.
Yes, that flight is available departing at 9 a.m. out of San Francisco, arriving in Seattle at 11:45 a.m. I can book you in seat 12C. It's an aisle. Would you like me to do that?
Can I get a first class upgrade for my inconvenience?
One moment while I connect you with a customer service associate.
Hi, Nikki. My name is Alan. I'm sorry for your inconvenience. I'm checking to see what we can do to make your flight to Seattle tomorrow more
All right,
comfortable.
so what we see here is that we've made a decision in this interaction with our contact that we want to route them to a live agent. Now, the really important thing here is that we're avoiding that horrible experience we probably all had, where you call into a contact center, you go through the menu, you talk to someone, you give them your name, your number, what you're calling about. They end up not being able to solve your problem. You get transferred, and what happens? You have to go through that whole process again, and it's a very frustrating experience to go through. Um, but there's a better option. The better option is to bring all of that context with you as you're going through that experience. And that's what we do within Amazon Connect. So as the voice is being routed and going through the experience in the system, there is a set of metadata that is following that along and is delivered alongside the voice, so that when that caller reaches an agent, the agent now has all of the context, all of the history, even the exact transcript of what was said and the interaction up to that point in time, which allows them to not only create a better experience for the caller because they don't have to repeat all of that information, but it creates a better experience for the agent, allows them to do their job much faster because now they can actually take action that's going to serve that end customer versus having to repeat that and then swivel chair around to a bunch of different systems to try to get to a resolution. So just a really simple example, but gives you an idea of some of the power you can unlock with just really simple setup with Amazon Connect. And if we think about how we interact with the agent side of it, we provide an out-of-the-box soft phone, and this is just an example here. And you can see there's a voice tab, there's a chat tab. So depending on the channel that the contact comes in on, the customer or the agent interacts directly with that customer. And this is something you can either use right out of the box, or what many of our customers choose to do is they will use the APIs that are available and that are driving the cell phone to create their own agent desktop, or what they'll do is embed that within an existing application. And so this is just one example of something we announced jointly with Salesforce at their big conference, Dreamforce, last fall. And it's a great example of how to merge together a technology like a CRM with the contact center provided by Amazon Connect. So what they've done is they've taken the desktop that the agent would normally have, and they've been able to bring voice into that through Amazon Connect. So you see kind of in the bottom left, there's a cell phone here that's being powered by Connect. The agent has all of the data about what's going on in their world inside that contact center. And then as that agent gets connected to the caller, they now have a complete view of everything that's happening with that customer. They know something about the history of that customer, maybe their loyalty status, their purchase history. They also have access to all of the history of the interaction up to that point, and even real-time transcription of what's being said between the agent and the caller. And then use that to do something, right? In this case, we're showing highlighted over here an article that talks about how to focus a telescope. And the reason that's being brought to the agent is because in the transcript, uh, the caller mentioned, "Hey, I'm having a problem adjusting the focus on my telescope that I just purchased." We know what telescope they purchased. We know that they're having a problem. We can classify that based off of the real-time transcription that we're doing, and then use a machine learning technology to then drive that next action that the agent should take, or bring other relevant information to that agent, things like knowledge articles that will help to get that customer to the right solution in the shortest amount of time. So that's a really neat example of kind of how the technology can be used to drive a great customer experience and a great agent experience as well. One of the things that we launched last fall as well, something called Contact Lens. And again, this is trying to take that next step forward in looking at what have historically been very complex problems to solve in the voice world. How do you get voice into data, right? Data I can search on, data I can categorize, I can filter, I can take a giant pool of data and pick out those 1 or 2 or 3 little important parts of it for my business. That's very hard to do with voice up until now. And so we've used the AWS platform and what we're doing with voice to provide this ability. So to have a full record of what has been said, to be able to search on that across many dimensions, to be able to um, look at your customers, and you can now, instead of trying to figure out a statistical model where you're going to go and sample 1% of your calls to audit them, now you could just ask the system to say, give me the 10 calls with the lowest sentiment score. And I want to focus my efforts on those. Why were they bad? What was said? Are there trends here? Are there things I can do to make my contact center experience better? And again, these are the kind of activities that are going to move the needle for your customers versus the management of the platform and that underlying infrastructure layer. And finally, you know, one of the things that we wanted and that our customers want is a very simple way to deal with this, right? So when customers adopt Amazon Connect, they don't have to think about, well, how do I scale it up? It scales automatically. They don't have to think about, well, I might want this in a highly available redundant configuration. We stripe it across multiple availability zones in a very highly resilient, highly available architecture. There's redundant power, data connection, telco, different data centers. There's all kinds of resiliency just built in that you simply consume. And then, you know, with the AWS model, if those of you who are not familiar with it, everything that we do is based on consumption. So you only pay for things that you use. This is really attractive for customers that want to get started, or maybe they want to test out the technology, and they can do that with very little investment, and you know, get their hands on it and see if they like it. And then finally, customers were asking us to simplify the telephony side of this for them. Traditionally, this might have involved having to go and negotiate with a carrier to provide your phone numbers that would then plug into your contact center, and you have to piece together a lot of these things on your own. With Amazon Connect, we act as your carrier. So you can claim numbers right in Amazon Connect. You can port your existing numbers into Amazon Connect, and we will manage that and again, take all of that undifferentiated heavy lifting associated with the infrastructure away so that you can focus on your business. And I think a testament to the potential of this platform to better serve our customers is that we have a large set of partners that have integrated their solutions to extend and enhance the capabilities of Amazon Connect. And these are just a few of those that we see today. And I wanted to kind of end here to make everyone aware of a couple of programs that we have right now, specifically to help customers around any impacts they may be seeing with COVID. Because we deliver everything over the internet, because it's all cloud-based, this is a fantastic way to be able to provide contact center in a work from home environment or a remote environment, or to very easily kind of move agent populations around. You're not tied to a physical location. If you can get internet, you can run this service. And so we've seen a lot of interest with this in the current situation. And so we set up some programs to help our customers because we know this is putting a strain on their business as well. So there's a few different ways here for existing customers. We do have a disaster relief team that will help customers look at, you know, any cost impacts that they've had related to COVID and potentially help them out there. We've also stood up something we call a rapid response contact center. And there we will provide services from our professional services organization to help you quickly get up and running and get a contact center that you can continue to serve your customers if you're not able to do that in your normal environment. And then we've partnered with Salesforce. And this is a really interesting offer because it gives you a way to kind of get through this tough patch for free. So Salesforce has offer out to customers that they can get up to 50 agent licenses for the Service Cloud, that desktop part of the experience. And AWS has partnered with them to provide service credits to pay for the contact center part of this. And we also then provide the same set of professional services to help you get this up and running. So really great program if your customer are in need right now. We'd love to help them out, and there's a link here that you can follow that will get you all the information and lead you to the sign up page in order to get enrolled in that program. So we'd love to help as many customers as we can and get them through this. All right. So that's what I wanted to talk to everyone about today, and I'd love to take the opportunity to answer any Q&A that we have.
If anybody has Q&A, you can either put it in the chat box or put it in the Q&A box as well. And we'd love to get some questions and some engagement rolling too, if you're willing to hop on and turn your mic on in your video. Now, Randy, I'll kick it off for you while people are kind of thinking here a little bit. But I have a couple technical questions that have come in for this topic. The first one, do I need to replace the existing PBX to leverage Amazon Connect? Is that something that needs to happen?
No. So there's a number of different use cases where we will augment what you already have or extend it. And this is often how customers get started, is they will take maybe a particular set of agents, or maybe there's a particular use case that they want to focus in on to start out. And you can direct that traffic to an instance of Amazon Connect. And because it's pay as you go, it's very easy to do that. And if you find that it's a great experience, you can continue to build off of that. If you were to find that it didn't fit your needs, you turn it off and you don't pay. So there's a very low barrier to entry in order to start testing the waters and to start ticking off those use cases. And that's how most of our customers adopt the platform, is they do it in stages. Very rarely do we see just a wholesale replacement of their entire telephony infrastructure.
Speaking of trying it out and getting started, is there a way to kind of demo it and get rolling on it, from a very beginning kind of test phase?
Absolutely. So all AWS services have a free tier, which means that you can go and sign up and essentially try it out. Amazon Connect is that way as well. So we offer the ability to claim a phone number and 30 minutes of inbound and 30 minutes of outbound telephony per month. And so you can take advantage of that to build out different scenarios, build some Lex bots if you want, try it out. And that is all within the free tier of the service. And you can build up from there if you find that it does work for your business.
Cool. Conrad, I see Conrad from Sabra has a question. Conrad, do you want to pop on video and ask?
We have a full unified communications backend at Sabra. We have dedicated SIP circuits in our data center. Are customers replacing their physical SIP circuits with AWS Connect?
Yes. So the way that Connect works is we take that telephony component out of the equation for the customers. So if you had dedicated, say, 800 numbers or call-in numbers for your contact center, what customers usually will do is initially they will just redirect those into some DID numbers within Connect until they're comfortable that, hey, this is going to do everything I want it to do. And then they'll actually port those numbers into Connect and we operate then essentially as the REST-borg for that telephony. Now, what we don't do, if I'm interpreting your question right, is we're not a UC platform. So we're not going to replace your PBX or your corporate telephony infrastructure. It's really a solution geared toward connecting your contacts with agents. Did that answer your question?
Sure. Thank you.
Hey, Randy, what about reporting options? Multiple supervisors reporting, can that happen daily? How does that work with Amazon Connect?
Yeah, so there's two different ways our customers approach this. For many customers, they just use the native reporting capabilities, which there's kind of two different flavors of that, the real-time reporting and also historical reports. And so you can run those directly from the Amazon Connect console. And many customers find that to be sufficient to run their business. For other customers that either want to generate their own metrics or they're using the data from a contact center. So you can imagine there's lots and lots of really valuable data that comes out of a contact center, and it emits a lot of data. And you can actually define in that set of metadata that follows the voice through the voice path, it's very easy to augment that. So as you learn something about that contact, say their interaction with a bot, or something you learned from hitting an external API, or a choice that they made in that contact flow, all of those things can be tagged into something we call a contact trace record. And what customers that have more sophisticated use cases do is they stream those contact trace records into a data lake, where they're generally augmenting that with data from other sources and then running analytics on top of that. So that's a pretty common pattern that we see for more sophisticated users.
What about statistics in terms of real-time data coming through? How is that processed?
Well, there are a number of real-time, there's a number of real-time metrics that are computed right in the product. And there's also APIs that are available for you to consume that and generate other statistics as well. So there's some out of the box. What we often find, though, is every contact center has a slightly different way that they want to measure and compute metrics. And so then we have to look at, well, hey, there's the raw data's here, and we'll help you figure out how to process that to get to the right statistics that you want.
Randy, thinking about it from a broader perspective, how can the combination of contact center modernization and machine learning be leveraged in other use cases? Is there anything beyond kind of what you've shown here today?
So I'm not sure exactly the context of the question. I will tell you that there's, when we think about AI and machine learning, there are, to us, those are two very different things. So AI services means you just consume it. So things like Amazon Lex, which is our natural language processing, again, it's just like talking to your Alexa device. We have a service called Poly, which is our text-to-speech. We have a service called Transcribe, which takes real-time audio and creates text from it. We have a service called Comprehend, which looks at that transcript and determines customer sentiment, positive, negative, confidence scores, keyword spotting, entity detection, things like that. So that falls in this bucket of things we call AI, which means you don't have to worry about the model, you just consume it, right? On the other side, the machine learning is a layer below that in terms of where you are on the application stack. And where we see customers using that is actually running their own custom models against the data that's collected in the contact center. So again, if you envision taking all of this data from the contact center into a data lake, and then you have all of this other data you know about that customer in your other backend systems, customers want to understand what made this contact either positive or negative. Was it something the agent said? Was it where they are in their life cycle? Was it related to a particular product? Or is there a geographic consideration? And so customers will build machine learning models to then run against that data set. Any other questions I can help with?
Yeah, should we pass over to Freddie? Freddie Branch, I see you have a question. Do you want to pop in?
Yeah. Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Hey, thank you guys for hosting this. So I just wanted to run this by. So I work for a company called AMC Technology. We provide contact center integration middleware. So essentially connecting Amazon Connect into CRMs, right?
Okay.
And with that, obviously, you're going to have many other vendors in the market, like Twilio, Call Cloud, you name it, they have it, Five9, things of that sort. And each business has their own model, right? Obviously, they have either a license price with consumption or a per user per line cost. But some of them that we're running into, and here more recently, especially overseas, they're coming into a pricing model where it's basically a bulk option of unlimited minutes with a fixed user cost. Right? So whether it be $60 or $70, that gives them all the functionality, all the capabilities that they need, but also, gives them that unlimited minutes package so they're not worried about that usage spike, around those key, peak periods of seasonal months, that they see during the year, which can be a real, worry for business when they're forecasting, because you never know, how big of a spike you're going to jump to in those 3 month or 6 month period, depending on what, industry you're in. So I was just wondering, and I've been trying to figure out, how to position this to the customers. But one part of the question is, do you guys foresee yourselves trying to look at like a small business bundle or a way to package all of that? And if not, how would you best describe a way to combat when a customer's like, well, why would we go with this when we could just have a fixed cost, right? That would make more sense instead of trying to pay for usage and forecast, and it's going to be way higher than it would be if it's just a fixed user cost.
Yeah, so the way we would talk about that is we believe that a usage-based model is always more advantageous for a customer. The reason why is even in the scenario you described, if you have a variable demand on your contact center, in the old model, and in most license models that are based off of some per seat construct, right? Or concurrent users, you have to buy enough capacity, and sometimes that even means hardware, servers, licenses, all this other stuff, to meet that peak demand. So if I have 30 agents every day, and then around Christmas I have 100, well, generally I have to buy 100 licenses, and I'm not going to use those most of the time. And so we look at it from the other sort of lens, saying, look, most of the year you're never going to pay for those 70 seats that you're not using. You never pay for something you're not actually getting value for.
Yeah.
And so we think that, and what we hear from customers generally is somewhere in the 40% or more cost savings because of things like that. Now, all of that being said, everybody likes to save money. But I think one of the to us, cost savings is probably the secondary consideration we would talk about with customers. The first is really agility. Like, can you change that platform whenever you want? Can you configure it easily to add in these advanced technologies that typically were really complex to procure or to manage or to integrate? Are you able to focus on serving your customers and business versus trying to do a complex integration product. So we generally would start with, think about it from a perspective of delivering value to your end customer and allowing your line of business to focus on what makes that a great experience. So really more toward the agility side and the ability to move quickly and to be dynamic in serving your customers. And then the cost consideration is just an added bonus on top of that.
Yeah, yeah, and I really like the way that Amazon does their pricing model. It fits that that area, or that gray space where some of the other providers like Twilio have that either huge license cost, and then it drops down to the $1, but then you're still paying, right, no matter what. So
Right.
with you guys, you're only paying for what you use, what you're going to use. There's no bottom line. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries.
Hey, Randy, can we wrap up by talking about kind of the future and what's next, and get a better understanding of the roadmap in terms of what's coming next for Amazon Connect?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, generally speaking, we're going to continue to march toward a few broad objectives. And I'll caveat that by saying that Amazon Connect, like all services within AWS, is driven by a vast majority by customer input. And so we listen very closely to our customers, and we don't build things just to build them, typically. Almost every feature that we bring out is directly related back to a specific customer ask, something we've seen across multiple customers. And so the things that our customers are asking us to build are things like more channels. So we have voice, we have chat. Okay, can you guys help me with email, with
Randy, I think we're dropping out here. Hopefully we come.
see us continue to build that out as well. And then finally, I think the third big area I would say is that we want to really leverage the use of AI and machine learning within the contact center. So interesting side note, every business at AWS every year as part of their normal cycle of doing business has to answer the question to the executive team, how are you using machine learning and artificial intelligence to improve your business? And we think about this from our customers' perspective as well. These are complicated technologies to build. And so the more that we can democratize these and put them into hands of people who can consume them either with zero experience with that underlying complexity, or with just very basic skill set in terms of scripting something like Python or JavaScript, but to be able to unlock the power of those technologies within the contact center, there's a wide number of use cases where that fundamentally changes how we think about the contact center operating, both from a what do I know about this contact to get them to the right agent, to how I design that experience, to what I should do in self. Nope, still there.
Randy, sorry, I'm in and out here with the connection, but I think I'm back for the moment. Um, Everything sounds good. Is there any last piece of the puzzle that that we need to tell folks here in terms of maybe what resources are available to help deploy, or where people can get service?
Uh, yeah, look, we have a full team at AWS that is 100% dedicated to Amazon Connect. That includes solution architects that can help you figure out if this use case might be applicable to your business or not, professional services folks, and so all of those can be accessed through your AWS account team, and we will come in and help with anything that's specific to Amazon Connect. The folks in that team are all longtime industry experts, and so we have a very skilled set of resources that you can leverage. And then, you know, it's like everything else in AWS. You can just go and sign up and try it out. See what you think. Very low risk way to evaluate the technology. But please do reach out with any questions that you have, and we'll be happy to work with you to evaluate it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Randy. We appreciate your time, and I appreciate everyone who has hopped on the call. I hope this was valuable, and I hope there was some real good information here for anybody who is in this environment and working on these types of projects.